Hello friends, welcome to How to VLAN channel. This is Cloud VLAN stream, and in this video we are going to see how to install Azure CLI, Azure CLI in virtual environment managed by Conda. This is in continuation to the last video where we spoke about how to set up Conda and virtual environment creation and so on. Now we are going to go to the next step, which is installing an Azure CLI command in Conda. You may wonder, we already did a video on how to install Azure CLI. Why I am doing it through Conda now, there is a specific reason. Why? Because the Azure CLI has a dependency on the Python version. So if you keep going to the next version and so on, it creates a lot of confusion with your if you set up the Azure CLI using yum or DNF, you'll have a problem managing the Python version because you may have the same Python used for multiple applications. So I don't want that chaos. So if I need ACCLI working, I have my virtual environment binded to a particular Python version. Not just Python, if you need any other packages together, you can have all the packages of a particular version together in one virtual environment and then you can use it. I guess this is the same method that they are using in Azure for data scientists. For instance, they say it as an environment itself. So, and as an asset. So you may wonder, environment is an asset, which means that they putting out all the dependencies together in one single, sort of a package wherein you will use it to run any other application or module that you want to. Okay, so this is a virtual environment where I'm going to install. So let's get started. As usual, I have my steps ready, but this is going to be a recap actually. Really, I already finished my installation because I faced a lot of issues setting up Azure CLI using virtual environment in my local. Actually, you can install the ACCLI command in Azure portal itself, but I prefer not to because you need to have a compute instance to run Azure CLI. So rather than I will use Azure CLI from my local laptop. That way, I don't need a separate compute instance from Azure. So that's the purpose I am setting up Azure CLI in my local laptops, and also I'll be able to store all my scripts and so on, etc., in my local laptop itself. So that's the whole purpose. So how do we set up Azure CLI using Conda environment, Conda virtual environment? So I'm not using yum or DNF here. We are going to use virtual environment to manage the packages. My OS version is Arch Linux 8.8, and the recommended methods for installing Azure are Azure CLI are already outlined in the Microsoft website. You will see the very basic or the recommended method that Azure says is using DNF for yum. So you'll see here you have to source the Microsoft repo, and then for RHL 7, RHL 8, what you need to do DNF RHL 9. So it applies to Oracle 9 and Oracle 8 as well. So I didn't choose to go with this yum install. I wanted to have a very controlled installation method, so I didn't choose this DNF or yum. Alright. So the other method, if in case you don't want to do this way, you can actually prefer to use it, install it through Azure CLI through scripts. This is the other method. So how do you do it? Install or upgrade through Azure CLI. Curl command with bash. So what does this command do? It downloads a shell script. This is that shell script. Okay. It downloads this shell script, and then it uses this install.py command, and it does the installation. Okay. Why did I have to? Why do I have to do all these checks? Reason is I'll show you. So I went with this first method. The option which is for me is the curl command that you download. You see here the method I used, curl command with bash. So it downloads the package. You see here it installed that py. It downloads the py script to a temporary directory, and it starts executing it. And whatever is outlined here, all that steps are done. Alright, but I faced an issue. You see here, it tells me that there is a prefix issue and virtual environment is not compatible with the system or executable. You will find lot of hits in Google for this particular error. Many of them will be outlined in GitHub, but none of them gave me a solution. I really spent 30-45 minutes time exploring the answer, and then finally I went with the Microsoft's recommended solution. So I went back to the GitHub of Microsoft itself, Azure GitHub, and I figured out that whatever I was doing, alright, so if you see here, Microsoft says if in case you have an issue, file an issue in the, if you face an issue with installation, file an issue in GitHub. So I went to Microsoft's own GitHub, and then I was going through similar issue. I was searching for all the issues that were related to this particular environment setup, and you see here similar issues were reported, and one guy said, I believe this is deprecated. So he said this method of installation is deprecated, this command, but I really do not know if it is deprecated, why Microsoft will still publish this as a document itself, right? So I doubt it is deprecated, but yeah, they will call out that if you so, you should requalify this document as deprecated itself. But I'm not going to dive into that particular issue, but I'm going to actually choose the method he recommended. You see here additional documentation for installing Azure CLI using pip. So he, for Windows and Linux, so yeah, he still recommends, yeah, yeah, this is how you actually install for Linux. So right, he talks about installing the Python, but again, I had the Python installed using my conda, so all I need is I need to create a virtual environment and then update my pip and then install Azure CLI, right? So here I will walk you through the steps. I picked up the Windows one, but I was able to write it on my own. So readings and key callout, okay, this is the one we spoke now, where he calls about the issues. And the option 2 is to create a virtual environment and then update pip and run. So it's python.exe, right? But for Linux it will be just Python. So install Azure CLI and then run Azure CLI. So I actually completed all the steps. How did we do it in OL8? So you see here, Oracle Linux 8. So I already have a virtual environment created using conda. If you want to know how to do that, you look at my other video where I would have explained about conda installation and creation of a virtual environment, and that virtual environment included the Python version I'm going to use for this exercise. Alright, so I've already set up the virtual environment, so I will skip this. I recently installed the Python and dependent packages using conda, so I'm not going through the updates. And the next one is installation of the Azure CLI command. Okay, so if you compare, yes, so python minus pip install Azure CLI, right? Python 3, for me it's Python 3 pip install Azure CLI. All right, so I'll show you the actual first method, which is option 1. This is my option 1 screen, okay, where it failed, and this is my successful installation screen. Okay, I'll show you both. In the option 1, you see here Azure CLI is my environment, which you get with conda. Again, I request you look at the other video where I will explain about environment and sourcing and so on. When will you get this Azure CLI in your command line? You see here the command with option 1, whatever was recommended I ran, and it tried installing the Azure CLI using this Python version, but it faced some problem with the virtual environment. It couldn't go forward. It threw so many errors. Okay, it failed here with virtual environment.py. I didn't go further in deep dive and investigate the issue, but it returned a non-zero return code. Okay, so I stopped it here, and then like I said, I was searching in Google for a solution. I found what I have to do. Then I went with the alternate method, wherein I need to just install Python 3, which is my version of Python, with module pip and install Azure CLI. All right, so this will be documented in the blog. I will give you the link in the video description. You can take a look. All right, so all this command, whatever I ran and what is the outcome, everything will be there. And you see here, it does the installation. It took some few minutes to complete the install. It downloads so many Azure You see here so many Azure components. It downloads key vaults, keys, certificates, and so many components of Azure were downloaded. And finally, it compiled all of them. It ran a make command sort of thing. Right, see here, successfully built. So it installed everything. All right, and then it finished. I was in my home directory. I checked if Azure version got successfully installed using az version command. Yes, and it said, moreover, your CLI is up to date as well. You don't need to run any updates. Alright, these are the packages which got by default install and the various versions of it. And I wanted to be really sure where my Azure got installed. So I ran with AZ. I found this is installed under my virtual environment AZ CLI. You see here, this is my conda environment. In that, this is the environment AZ CLI and it is installed under bin. So they are all packed together now. Alright, and then so I was just checking what all were residing inside the bin and lib. So this is what I noticed. So you can see my RHL version is 8.8. Now I just wanted to see if it really helps me, this virtual environment. I deactivated conda to really see if my conda virtual environment is working fine or not with AZ. I deactivated it. And then you see when I ran AZ version, it's on the same screen, guys. I'm not moved to another screen. You see here it said command not found. What it means is after I deactivated this environment, no more my AZ bin links were broken. It couldn't find where AZ is. My path environments were removed. That is the beauty of how the conda maintains. It's all in the bash src only. When you deactivate it, it removes the environmental variable related to AZ, which is related to that environment. So, and then again to see if my AZ version works again, I activated AZ CLI. Again, if you see, it's working just fine. So that's how I'm going to manage my AZ CLI using conda, and I'll show you more videos when I start creating resources and managing Azure resources from my local laptop. Hope you like this video. If you really like, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to How to VLAN channel. Thanks for joining today. We'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.